Hey everyone, it's Terry with Terry's Tidbits, and we just completed the admin study group the third week, and we talked about the profiles and permission sets, and then we did some Q&A. We had some fantastic discussions along the way. This is an important piece, so you definitely want to study and be well prepared for this particular topic. Hopefully we've covered the basics, but you're going to want to probably dive in a little bit deeper than where we got to in today's session. But take a listen to it. Hopefully it helps you out as you study. Feel free to ask questions down below in the comments, and I'll do my best to try to help you through it. Thanks. Hey everyone, it's Terry with Terry's Tidbits. I am so glad you're here. All right, so welcome everybody. This is, as Kurt said, week 3. And Robbie, you've got the only presentation today, and then we will go through some Q&A and see how well we have done on learning some of the configuration and setup stuff. So Robbie, go ahead and feel free to share your screen when you're ready.
You bet.
Take it away.
Second. Okay. All right, can you guys see this? Okay.
That's good.
All right. 1 second. Some stuff around here. Okay. So this week I have the custom profiles and permission sets. And we'll just get into it here. You want me to do it as a slideshow, or because I'm going to go back and forth? Doesn't matter.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay. So start off with create a custom profile. It's best practice not to assign standard profiles to users. Instead, if you're making any changes, you just clone the standard profile and assign the clones to the users. That way, if you need to, permissions or access to a custom object in the future, you can just update those profiles very easily. So to do so, we go to setup and user management settings, and then we can clone from the standard user here, and I'll do that here in a second. So why don't we just go through this while we do it here? So 1 second. So if you go to profiles, then if we go to our standard user, clone from here, and then we can name it whatever we want. I can show you the one I made. I won't do it again. So we'll go back to, I made an HR one when I went through this. So this is the one I made. And once you create it, then it comes to this screen, and we're able to go to the profile page here. You can edit, and within their profile, we're able to change any of their custom app settings, all their settings down here, administrative permissions. You're able to change that to specific what they need, standard objects, what they have access to, and custom object permissions. And that's what I did here is I updated for these specific ones I made from this scenario of an HR person, and added specific access to these custom objects that were made. So read, create, edit, depending on each of these objects that are listed here. And that is pretty much it for the custom profile on that. So it's pretty straightforward you just clone from the standard user profile, at least the way I did it there. And then you can adjust accordingly to whatever your scenario is, like the scenario of the HR recruiter that we made. And you're able to edit it within this in your profile here. So that's kind of the easier part of this. Permission sets is a lot more in depth, so that one's actually going to take a little while to talk about. But before we get into that piece of it, do you guys have any questions? I know we kind of talked about profiles in the previous week, but anything about specific, like around custom? or Terry, if you wanted to say anything that I missed, maybe as well.
And I would just be aware of what you can do in a profile. What's a profile do for you? I'm going to guess you may cover some of that in the permission set.
Yeah.
So
okay.
we'll come back to some of that. I'll let you finish it up, and then I'll ask questions.
Okay. So we're going to move on to permission sets. I'm going to kind of talk about permission sets and types of permission sets before we go into how you create a permission set as well. So it's a collection of settings and permissions that give users access to various tools and functions that they'd be able to have. It kind of extends their functional access without actually changing their profile. So if you have a specific profile, you can actually give them a different set of permissions, even if they have the same profile. Users can only have one profile, and I think that's kind of what Terry's referring to there, but they can actually have multiple permission sets to that profile is what I was kind of saying there. You can assign permission sets to various types of users regardless of what their profile is. You can create permission sets to grant access among the groups of users regardless of their actual job function. And if permission isn't enabled in a profile but is enabled in the permission set, users with that profile and permission set still have that permission. Next, I'm going to talk about the various permission sets that are out of the box here. We have custom permission set, which we'll make here, and that's you can actually create that yourself. Integration permission set is for specific type of integrations. Managed permission set, that's from a managed package. And a session-based permission set allows the function access only during that specific session type. And then standard is the pretty much a standard permission set. It includes the common permissions for a feature with that set license. And then there's scenarios where we would actually need to add specific extra permission sets to what these might be. So you want to add on opportunity permissions, you delete the opportunity, or add some to leads where you want to delete leads or transfer leads, or custom app access, that sort of thing. And there's a scenario with the salesperson, they have this specific access to leads, but we want them to be able to delete the lead or transfer the lead. So that's why we need to add, custom permission sets specific to that profile. So to create a permission set, we would go to setup and we'd search permission sets here. So we can go back in. So we can actually just search setup up here. This will take us right to that object here. And from here, sorry if you hear my dog in the background, he's barking at something. Give me 1 second. So I made this hiring manager as a new profile that actually has a specific permission set here. So let me go back here. Sorry. So you're able to create a new one if you click on here to create a new permission set. You can label it whatever you want. I did this hiring manager and gave it the specific description, and then it gave it a Salesforce license from this drop down here. And once you save it, comes this, and then we're able to get assigned specific apps to here if you want to add ones that are not enabled on the specific permission set. So what I did here is I added this recruiting app. And to do that, you go to this edit button. And you have all these assigned apps that are available, and we can assign it to the specific permission set of what they'd be able to go into. And I added the recruiting one to this HR manager by clicking on it and then adding the add button and then saving it. And then within we can adjust the object setting itself for what they would be able to view and edit and create within there. So we go into this object settings, and then we can pick the specific object that we want to change. And on this, for instance, we can go to interviewers is one I changed here. And maybe there we go. We're able to edit those the permission settings within the object. So you click the edit button, you're able to change this. So if you just want it to be only read only, create, edit, delete, we can adjust that as well as making it visible, which I made this one visible for that. And then that kind of continues on there. Then we can change specific field level security within the object. And I wasn't sure if this was part of it, but it was kind of how my track was going with creating this. So they're predefined. All standard objects are predefined with a set of fields to capture common business information. While they can be deleted, fields level security can make them invisible, which I'll show you here in a second. And the security controls, which fields the profile or permission set to view or edit, can override any less restrictive field access as well. And it's usually universally enforced regardless of how a user is accessing Salesforce, page layout, list, report, etc. And that's why it's a preferred way to secure sensitive and confidential information. So I put a picture of it here, but I'll show you. Get in here. So if we go to our object manager here, we can select this specific object. And I'm going to go to one that was made. I made this custom object position. And within this field and relationships, we can select one of the field labels. So let's do salary range. And then there's a set field level security button up here within the custom field. So that way we can actually set what we want to be visible or read only. And on this one, I just did that HR recruiter one that I had, as well as system admin. Save that. We can actually go back to the permission sets that we were in before. So go back. To go to the hiring manager. And then the object settings in the apps section here. Oh, there it is. And then let's go down to positions. And here. You can go to this edit button. And then you're able to change the object permissions here as well. And then down here, field permissions, I added the salary range for read access and edit access on here. Save that. And last thing I got here is sharing settings. So in order to access a record, users must have the appropriate object permission on their profile or on the permission set. So by changing this from the organizer, or changing these settings from the organization-wide defaults, you set the default level of access users to records that they do not own in each object. So I'll show you what I mean here. Back here. So the sharing settings, search up here, the security. And then we can edit the defaults here. And we can change what their default internal access is. Which I changed some of these down here of my custom objects. So private, I made this one public read only, position to private. I saved it. So basically, with all that, we made it a more secure tool overall by making those specific changes to the security settings on the field level security, as well as the sharing access based around the permissions connected back to the profile. And included some links that kind of helped me through this that I can share with you guys too. A good video that kind of walks you through how permission sets work as well. So I think that's all I had. I'm sure I missed something. Permission sets is very in depth. I just didn't want to bore you guys because it gets kind of hairy. So.
All right. So there are some things there. When you set that sharing setting to private,
Yep.
What does that mean?
So, because there's public and then there's private.
Yep.
So only people, I guess the way I understood it, and I could be wrong, only the people that actually have access based off their permissions would be able to see it if it's set to private compared to public, right? Or am I missing that?
Nope, missing that.
Sorry.
It's all good. No, the owner of the record is the one who would see those. If it's set to private, it's the record only owner is the only one that would have access to that record. Now, we have the ability to expand visibility. And how would we go about expanding visibility? No thoughts?
Within the sharing, you mean?
Yeah, that's where you're sharing rules that are down on the lower half of that org-wide setup. That's where those come into play. So the top half of that page restricts visibility. The bottom half of this page opens it up to grant additional visibility to those records. And if you click on the new button there, Robbie, on any of those sharing settings down at the bottom,
okay,
you have two different types of ways of two different types of rules. And that's your based on the record owner. That's what's by default right now. That's in step 2. And then your other option is then the based off of criteria.
So you can do if something equals specific. Yeah. We have all the operators. Okay. Based off a field. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That will extend visibility or add visibility to anyone then that meets that criteria. Now, well, let me take that back, restate that differently. Records that meet that criteria will be shared with the people who we indicate in step number 4. And so in step number 4, you have a share with, and it's probably good to know these 3 options. It's your public group, your role and subordinates. So I believe, did we talk about roles and role hierarchies already? Anybody remember? I don't remember if we have yet or not.
No.
Okay.
Oh, we did. We talked about them last week.
Yeah.
Over them.
All right, we'll go back over that here in just a second then. But you have public groups, and a public group is simply if you go into Quick Find and you search for group, you'll have the ability to find public groups and you can add people to a group. So just think of it as adding users to a group and you can assign them. You can simply assign people to that group, and then you can share record visibility here with the sharing rule to the people in that group. So if there was groups, you could then select that group name would show up in the select pick list.
Okay. So that'd be it.
Now the one that is there that's always kind of cool by default is the internal users.
Mm-hmm.
And to all internal users, that's important if you're in a community type environment where you've got external users that you don't want to extend visibility to. So this one is used quite often. just to grant access to everybody inside your four walls. And then step number 5 is what kind of access do you want to give these people? And there you have read only and read write.
Yeah.
And so you'll definitely want to know about the I say definitely as if I can tell you everything that's on these exams, and I apologize. I don't know everything that's on the exams. I'm giving you what I think is likely something that you're going to want to know, and even if it's not on the exam, it's something that you kind of want to have knowledge of. So, know the role type, the criteria based, and the owner. That is, I think, I'd be surprised if you don't see something around that, and then also know the step number 4, the who you can share it with, being the public groups and your roles and subordinates, and then the level of access. So role hierarchy, you want to click over there on roles there on the side. And maybe it'll make sense or jog some memories when you see that particular view. But go ahead and do set up roles. And then expand all up at the very top link. So this is an example of a role hierarchy. It often will look like a person's org chart. It isn't necessarily intended to be an org chart hierarchy, but frequently that's kind of the way visibility works within an organization. What is really tough to explain is to a CEO who's at the top of the food chain in this hierarchy, why his assistant is also at the same level when she's not a CEO.
Yeah.
But it's just because that person needs the same level of visibility as that role provides. And in a private org, your visibility is going to roll up that role hierarchy. So let's say I am a VP of marketing. Well, we'll go all the way down to the marketing team. It's down about most of the way down the page there. Yeah. So if I own a record and I'm a member of that marketing team, in a private org, by default, my VP of marketing is going to see that record. So is my senior VP of sales and marketing, and so will the CEO. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Now, if Robbie is also in the marketing team with me and I own a record, Robbie doesn't necessarily get access to that same record because I own it. He's a colleague of mine. He does not have access. My boss does, and his boss does, but he would not. So if I need to be able to share that record visibility over to Robbie, then what I would probably, can you jump back over to the org-wide defaults again? You probably have to type it in. Sharing settings. It'll be sharing settings. Sorry, Robbie.
Oh, sorry.
I misled you. So the scenario here is Robbie's my colleague. I want him to have visibility to the record. Scroll all the way down to, we'll just choose an account, for example, and do new sharing role on the account sharing role.
Oh, this one. Right.
Yep. All right. So to set this one up, this would be based off of a record owner. I own the record, and I want to share it, have it visible to Robbie. So account is owned by, in this case, it's a role. And go ahead and choose the VP of, or it'd be the marketing team. Yeah, marketing. And then I want to share it with marketing team. That will allow that record then to be visible to Robbie. Now, it's also good to note here too, and for accounts and accounts sharing roles, in that sharing role, you're also able to not only determine the level of access on the account and contract, but also the opportunity in cases.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all important information, I would think, to be aware of there as well. Any questions on that? This can get kind of messy, and you will likely have questions on this stuff. And if you ever decide to take the advanced admin class, you're going to have a ton of questions on this stuff. Not quite sure yet how to ask the questions, perhaps.
Well, I'll ask you a question. This one always, I always have to look this up. Back in the org-wide defaults, could we review the different levels of access for both internal and internal? So some of those are straightforward, like private or public. But like, what does it mean for control by parent, control by campaign,
sure.
things like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead and hit edit up there at the top up there, Robbie. Middle of the screen, kind of. Yeah.
It always throws me off where it's like tiny.
Yeah, this is still an old classic interface. It's been ported over to Lightning. Yeah. So yeah, you've got a variety of different options, and they're different based on the object that we're playing with. But for the most part, most of them have either like click on the account and contact one. You'll have public read write. You'll have private. And then public read only. Those are kind of the standard ones that you will always see. But if you go down to contact, you'll notice you have control by parent. Now, the parent object of a contact is the account. So if I want to set the account to private and my contact is set to control by parent, then in essence, my contact is also private, because it's inheriting its security from the account. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I just always find that confusing. So I figured other people would probably.
Yeah, what a lot of people have asked me about on that is, well, how do I know who the parent is?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a legitimate question. And it's going to be any record that's in a this isn't 100% true, but I'm going to say it anyway. In a, no, I'm not going to say it because it's wrong. So, I think your best bet to know who the parent is just to look at the object manager and see which record it is linked to. So in the case of a contact, you're going to see that it's tied. It has a lookup to the account, and so that is its parent. What I was going to say that was wrong is I was going to say if it's in a master detail relationship, then you know that it's the parent. The problem with that is you won't even see a master detail relationship child record on the sharing settings at all, because that if it's in a master detail relationship, it's always going to be controlled by the parent. There is no other option.
And then you have leads.
Yeah, and then you have leads. Yes, leads. Leads are also, I believe, private, a public read write, public read only, private, and then transfer. And what that transfer means is in the data model that Salesforce has, you can kind of think of leads as sitting off in its own little bucket. And in order to do much with a lead record, let me start that over. Think of a lead as if it's like a business card. It's a prospect or a lead that you really don't have a lot of information on. You don't know if they're qualified to do business with you yet. You're just aware that they exist. Your goal with a lead is to get them to the point that they know who you are, and there is an interest in your product, and you're interested in doing business with them. We call that being qualified. Once you qualify that lead, you then would convert your lead to an account and contact, and possibly an opportunity record all at the same time. So leads just simply adds that ability to convert the record, I believe. Did I say that? Can you go back? I feel like I'm saying that wrong. Go back to sharing settings for me, Robbie. Oh, yeah. It might be transfer owner. I'm just checking my memory here. A transfer. So yeah, transfer is the other one. So take back the ability to convert. Ability to transfer just means I can change the owner.
And that's only on a lead then?
Only lead.
Okay.
Yeah, only cases is the other one. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
Leads and cases. Yeah.
Would we, and this is a little bit outside of the scope of what we just learned from Robbie, will we need to understand that conversion process for the exam, do you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the fact that you convert a lead to be an account contact and optionally an opportunity. Yes, I would think that would be for sure an admin level question.
Cool.
Yeah, good question. Other questions related to some of this? We could literally spend probably 3 or 4 sessions doing nothing but talking about security. It can be fairly involved, but I think the core piece to understand is sharing settings allow you to restrict visibility. And then your sharing rules extend visibility. So it grants additional visibility to users. Hey everyone, I just wanted to interrupt briefly to again say thank you to our sponsor, the Des Moines Area Community College. Here locally we call them DMACC, dmac.edu. If you are interested in any form of education, continuing ed, please check out their website. We are working closely together to get some Salesforce specific training put together. So check that out if you're interested in learning more and having a classroom style training for Salesforce. Thanks again to the wonderful folks at DMACC.
You're a system admin and you're on the account record and one of your users says, hey, I can't see that field you wanted me to see on the account record.
Yeah.
What's like the first things that we should do to troubleshoot that?
Okay, so help out team. The question there was, they have a field that they can't see on an object. Where would that be?
Field level security? Well, you'd want to go to the object first, then you'd want to look at the field.
Okay. Look at the field, and what are we going to do there?
So go to the field. We'll just say birth date, yeah. And then view field accessibility. I'm a liar.
You're close though. You're getting there, Kevin.
It was Almost. The one before it.
It was
the other option
before there.
Security,
Yeah.
Because then we can do visibility here. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so that for a field, that's a good approach. You could also go to their profile and see the same thing. So you could view it from a profile perspective as well.
And what would happen if that's marked as true? It is visible, but they still can't see it.
If it's visible and they still can't see it, I would look to see, is it on the page layout? And if it's a custom object, we have the ability to build our page layout within the Lightning record page. And so I would check the Lightning record page then as well to see if the field is there. I would also check the profile to see, do they have visibility to the object? That'd be another option. Am I missing any? Other thoughts?
Maybe record type assignment.
If it's a pick, no, record type would be record type. Record type is not going to control visibility. It just controls what type of record you can create.
Yeah.
You're testing me today, aren't you, Ashley?
Well, honestly, I'm asking questions that I always struggle with. To be honest.
That's good. That's good.
I'm not trying to test you, just
It's all good.
I always
I hope you guys do it. It helps me.
stump you.
Yes, stump the teacher time. All right. Other
yeah.
questions? No, this is good because we're about to go into Q&A stuff anyway. So if you have any other questions around that, this is an area that you really are going to want to spend some time studying. Think of different scenarios like what Ashley just did with a user can't see a field. What do you do? Maybe it's Robbie and I are both part of the same marketing team. He can see a record, I can't see it. Or when Robbie signs into Salesforce, he sees a set of tabs that are different than the set of tabs that I see. How do I troubleshoot that? All of that stuff is a part of what you're going to find in some of the security pieces. So when you're on a profile like what Robbie's on right now, and he's using the old view of a profile. If you go into profiles, there is the newer view that is an option available to you as well. But know what you can and can't do within your profile. So know that your record types are assigned there to your objects. Know that go ahead and click into one of those. Your field assignments are there. You have your admin permissions. I think there's what are all of those headings there, Robbie, as you scroll through?
Record types. This is tab settings.
Tab settings. So that's where you'd see that tab visibility.
Yeah. Admin stuff. User
the apps that they can see are all going to be in here. Yeah, your admin permissions. Know those key pieces. As an admin, those are things that I would expect that every admin would know what's in there. There's an interesting one down there at the bottom with the password policy. Know that sits inside of here. You also have your login hours that can be specific to profiles, and your login IP can be specific to profiles. I doubt that you'll get into the IP ranges, but it's probably good to know that that's there. Which Apex classes are visible. So for example, if Robbie has the ability to run a visual force page and I can't, we're on the same team, why not? It could be because he has access to that visual force page and I don't. That's all controlled in the profiles. So yeah, be aware of all of those. I think those would be good. All right. I think I have my test question stuff ready. I just set up make sure I get to the right place. I think it's this one. Yeah, awesome. So on terrystidbits.com, you'll find a practice exam link on that page. The one that we're going through right now is one I just created called the Admin Study Group. And right now, given we have been studying primarily the organization setup type things, I've got 12 questions that are specific to that topic from some of the prior exams. So we're just going to go through some of those and see how we do. So I'm going to just start off the top of the list of names that I see. Robbie, you're the first one. Kevin, I'll get you question number 2. Spencer, number 3 as we go. As I said before, it's okay if you don't know the answer. It's okay to get it wrong. It's okay to phone a friend. Yeah, I love the fact that most of the time this generates conversation and we get to talk about the topic to a little bit more to make sure that we understand it. So first, is that big enough for you to see? Okay.
Yes. It says ABCDE E, right? I'm not. There's not cut off. Okay.
No, there isn't any down below. You also have the ability to mark it for review. That'll simply give you the well, it's just kind of like taking a Salesforce exam. It'll let you review them toward the end. All right. Which of the following capabilities? Which of the following are capabilities of the app manager? So think about what is app manager and what can that do for us?
So let's see. It would be.
There are three correct answers.
Yeah.
We have screen flows, visual force tabs, standard and custom tabs, lightning component tabs, and permission sets.
I would say it's the 3 tabs. So visual, standard, and custom, and lightning.
Okay. And you are correct. Well,
Robbie.
Off to a good start. Any questions on that? Did anybody think differently? I should have asked that before I left the page, but good. Kevin, did I say you were next? All right. Which of the following are true about collapsible sections on record pages? Oh, interesting. They must be enabled. There's 2 answers that are right. Must be enabled on the page layout. Require dynamic pages. It's an org-wide setting. Can be different per record type.
I know A. And we'll shoot for D. Shooting for D.
All right. Anybody think any different?
It's a tough one.
That's what I was gonna say too. It's A and D.
I like E just because
That's a
it
tricky one.
makes it dynamic.
Dynamic pages. So when you see dynamic pages, what's that mean to you?
It's dynamic.
You're clever. Very clever. Yes. Dynamic pages are the new Lightning record pages that we have the ability to build. Okay, we're going with A and D.
C.
C and D.
It was C and D.
I don't think I knew it was a org-wide setting.
So
I didn't know that either.
yeah, it is an org-wide setting. It is one of those options that are in the, I believe, user interface section.
Huh.
So on day 1, I think we talked through some of those.
Yeah.
But an example of kind of before you go into the test, read through that stuff real quick, just to say, oh yeah, that's what's on here. Not on the page layout. When you see something like that, when you're in your mind, go back to when you're editing a page layout. Do you see anything on that page layout that gives you the ability to control whether or not that is collapsible? And it is not a setting that is available there. All of the questions will have a resource that you can click on to go see the answer. You can also argue with me about it if you like, and dispute it. I do get those, and we'll kind of work through those as well. So, did we go Spencer next?
Yep.
Reggie will hit you on the next one, and then Bethany. Some Salesforce features are controlled by a checkbox on the user detail. Which of the following feature licenses must be checked to grant access to non-Sales Cloud features? Oh, okay. Remember, we did talk about this. This is that actual user detail page. This is like when you're creating the user.
I want to say B and C.
B.
Yeah.
And C.
Yeah.
There's two right answers. Anybody have a different opinion? Any of you cheating and going to look to see what's on the user page?
So what does it mean by non-Sales Cloud feature, though?
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a little bit confusing there. I think that actually is a little bit of a distractor from a statement standpoint. You could almost read that as some Salesforce features are controlled by checkboxes on the user detail, and here it says feature license. That's another keyword.
Uh,
Must
Go with
be
A and
checked.
D because isn't Service
yeah.
Cloud and Marketing Cloud the different ones? Whereas Chatter is just the built-in sort of way that you can assign like little chatter to different objects. And then Knowledge, I thought, was their documentation repository. So I'm thinking A and D.
Yeah, I agree with Aaron. Now that we,
E is
Okay,
for
D.
campaigns, though.
Yeah, right.
Not for marketing cloud.
Yep,
Okay.
you're right, Ashley. D is for campaigns.
Yeah.
In Salesforce, and is campaigns a part of the Sales Cloud license?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, it should be.
Yep. So we say no to this one.
Oh,
Correct. No,
Okay.
no to D.
All right. We like knowledge.
Yeah, because it's a non-Sales Cloud feature. So
Yeah.
I think C is correct, and then Service Cloud is obviously not Sales Cloud. So that's correct. It seems weird to call it a feature, though. Yeah, and then Flow is part of Sales Cloud. So
Flow's a part of Sales Cloud. Yeah, part of the
Yeah.
platform.
you could say NC.
Everybody agree?
Yep.
Awesome. Good job.
Yay.
Nice job working through that. That's the way that, when you're going through the exam, that is a fantastic way of kind of working through them is by having that same debate there that we just had. Because you'll know some of these are not, in this case, it's not a feature license. It doesn't require a license in order to use it other than the Sales Cloud. So yeah, nice job coming up with that one. Now, I will also tell you most of the questions that I have, but I shouldn't say most of them. A lot of my questions are not going to be scenario based. Every question that you have on the Salesforce side is going to be a scenario based question. I'm more testing, do you know the answer? Then there'll be a few that I have that are going to be scenario based, but a lot of them will just be a much simpler, direct to the point answer. I forgot who I said was next. Bethany, was it you or Reggie?
No, it's Reggie.
Reggie, all right, you got the lead. Which of the following statements are true as it relates to multiple currencies? So that was the day one topic that we talked about, multiple currencies. There are 3 correct answers. This was a tough one.
It really is.
System admin controls the default currency for each user. That's a key word there. In reports, primary currency reflects either the default corporate currency or the currency selected for the record. Once it's enabled, existing records will be stamped with a default currency code. Once a currency is added, it cannot be deactivated. After enabling multi-currency cannot be disabled for your org. If you throw a dart, you have a chance there of getting one of them.
Yeah, no, I'm just A. I think A is one of them, and A and B.
Okay.
I agree with B.
Yeah, I agree with B as well.
I'll argue against A.
Yep.
Okay.
It says for each user, but remember default currency is under company information. So that would be across the whole organization.
Yeah. Okay. So we're saying no to A?
I'll
Correct.
say no to A.
Wasn't there something about after you enabled something, so E,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Robbie's onto it with E. I think that
Yeah.
once you
Yeah.
put the currency in there, it kind of it had that big warning on it.
Yes, that's what I'm picturing in my head was this
Yeah.
big warning. Yeah.
Okay.
See, but I thought that was in regards to when you set the calendar, right? Gregorian calendar versus once you set that, it's basically set.
So
You
you're
can't go back and
thinking, if you're thinking calendar, it's.
I mean, it's not around currencies. I'm just thinking, after enabled, multiple currencies can't be disabled. Which of the following statements are true? Yeah, that is true. Multiple currencies can't be disabled, but you can set everything to one currency.
Mhm.
Sorry. Yep, I had to work through
Yeah.
that one.
Yep. Oh,
It's-
okay. Got it. What do you think is the
So-
next one, Robbie or Reggie?
I was just trying to read through C, but upon enable, existing records are stamped with default. So that would be like legacy records if you
Yeah.
enable it after you're already
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yep.
I would think that would. Is that true? Sorry, I'm not familiar with this section, but
Yeah.
It feels right.
yeah, I would think that would be right, because otherwise you wouldn't have. I mean, you could have, but you're only going to have a single currency if it wasn't enabled. But would you make a default current? Would your default currency change if you enabled multiple currencies?
When you enable multiple currencies, you do have to choose a default.
Okay, I think C is right, because
Okay.
once the currency is added, it cannot be deactivated. That would make sense, because it's if you add another current, if you have a record type with a certain currency and then you went and deactivated it. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go C.
All right. Everybody in agreement?
ECE
B, C, and E.
Yeah. Looks good.
before
Okay.
Common Era.
All right. Well done.
Nice.
Nicely done. All right. Now I had Bethany, right?
Yep.
All right. And Robbie, you moved seats on me. So I think Spencer and then Debbie. We'll have you guys go after that if we still have some time. So 3 correct answers. A user cannot be marked as inactive when which of the following are true? Well, this is another difficult question. You cannot mark a user inactive when they're the sole recipient of an email alert. The user is part of an active assignment role. User is assigned to an opportunity team.
Tough.
Their default case owner or a system admin.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Well, we know what it's not, probably.
Okay, which one is it not? Let's start there.
What do you think, Hop?
So we know which one it's not, but we really don't.
So Ashley knows
I
which
think
one.
you could eliminate C.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I don't know we don't use opportunities right now. So
User is assigned to an opportunity team.
yeah,
Yeah,
We
just
think
because
that's a
you're-
no.
I think that's not one of them.
Okay. So we're eliminating C.
I know if they have like any leads or certain records associated with them, you can't deactivate them.
I think you can get rid of A as well. If you're the sole recipient of an email alert, that doesn't.
I think it's A.
A and C.
Spencer thinks it's A. Reggie says nope, not A.
I think it's A.
What's everybody else think
I'm
about A?
thinking. Are you thinking of getting rid of A, Spencer? Or you think it is marking
It is part of the answer.
Yeah, I think it is too.
So think about what an email alert is. That's
Okay.
your old automations. And it does, on an email alert, it does have a recipients
Okay.
section to it.
Well, D is definitely an answer. I can tell you.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe B and D actually.
Yeah, I think B for sure.
So,
Okay.
but we have to pick 3 answers.
Yeah.
Music. So
Last
then are
one's
we
E.
thinking A, B, and D?
Yeah, that's what I think. Unless
AB.
I don't know if there has
and
to be
D.
a system administrator marked. That's, but I say A, B, and D. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think logically there needs to be at least one system administrator, but I don't think as long as there was another one
Right.
that you could
Right.
That's-
do it.
Okay.
And
That's what I was
then
thinking.
Brock's thinking A and D as well. He just messaged in the chat. So
I
Oh,
think, yep.
good catch for whoever's following the chat.
A, B, and D final.
I lost track of that. All right, let's go.
ABD
with that.
final answer.
oh,
All right, final answer. Good
dang.
job. All right,
Oh
good.
man. So, all right, explain A for me if you don't mind. So, like, I'm thinking about email alerts where you can actually just put in the email address and not the user, right?
Yeah, so if we go over to an email alert. It's going to be a required field.
The user is, you can't just do.
Yeah, that's
Can you assign a group to an email alert though?
Yeah, because there's a different way to select. Like, it doesn't have to be user, I thought, but
Maybe not.
if I try to take that out, I think it's going to yell at me.
Terry, what on your search there where it says user?
Yep.
Can you hit that drop down? So
email field.
okay.
This
Public group.
is
That's
yeah.
what we
All,
used.
all this is doing is it's helping you identify this
search,
list of available.
Yeah, so it's got to be a user. Yeah.
Yeah.
For some
But
reason,
if
I
you-
thought you didn't have to be. Okay.
But if you did a group, right? That's what I'm saying. Like we had this issue when the person who did the implementation here. So I swear we did something with like a public group and assigned that.
And as long as it's got something there, you'd be fine.
That's how we did it.
Yeah, but then users have to be added to groups. So
You
it would
have to,
technically be.
yeah, you have to have somebody listed here.
But if they were
Is
in
that
if they were in a group, you can, obviously if you have a group, you're gonna have more than, ideally you'd have more than one user in there,
Right.
regardless if they're active or not, as they go. So if someone becomes inactive, it's not going to stop the flow or the process from firing, right?
Right. That's a
question.
couple of groups. And I think that you have to have somebody even in your public group, don't you? Nope, you don't. You can have it in.
What?
Look at that. You can have a group with nobody in it. So you could, in theory, I suppose, get away with still having that group as a part of that email alert, and it would still work that way.
The only reason I knew about the group was because we had the person who did our implementation ended up changing departments, and we kept on trying to deactivate her. And it was like, no, this person has this. No, this person has this. And I think we had 6 different things we had to go and change regarding.
Yeah. You'll know when that comes up because Salesforce is going to tell you.
Yeah.
We are out of time now, but if you do want to go through some of these again and take a look at it, just simply come to the website, click launch the exam, and you'll have the option to do the advanced or the admin study group.
Okay.
If you want to do all of the questions that I have for the certification admin, Salesforce certified admin, you can do that as well. The quiz is currently set up with the previous exams configuration as far as the scoring of it. I'm trying to get that updated to the new one. I just haven't gotten it there yet.